Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on What's Your Story Radio. I am very pleased that you have supported me and that you've emailed me. And I know I say this every time I do a show, but you have to know how grateful I am for your support. Because if I didn't have it, I'm not sure that I would keep doing it. I'm not sure that I would. I love doing it, so it's hard to say. But I can tell you it's icing on the cake when you get a hold of me and you let me know that, in fact, you like what I'm doing, you like the guests that are coming on. It really does mean the world to me. I am in Seattle, Washington still, and again, I will be here for a year. Today is a gorgeous day. Yesterday was so rainy and so miserable, but today it's a sunny day. So it just shows you how life can change in an instant, right? I also want to let you know that when you watch this interview, you may not see it live this morning, but you will be able to see it on www.kathybacon.com on my website. You'll also be able to go to my YouTube channel called What's Your Story? And I will post it on my guest page as well. It'll be also on my Facebook fan page, Kathy Bacon, What's Your Story? So, there's no reason you can't go back and watch it if you miss it this morning. And I encourage you to do so. I'm very excited about my guest. His name is John Blystone, and John was raised in a two-parent home that had love and support. His parents were great examples to him and his brother, and John has always been extremely introverted and thrives in areas involving people. John had been married 2 times, and he has 2 sons from his first marriage. During that first marriage, he was involved in owning, operating, and building businesses. And gosh, we know how much time that takes for all you entrepreneurs out there that actually do the same. John had 7 businesses at one point, and the time consumption led to the end of his marriage in 2003. So we always have to look back at that and say, what could we have done different? And it looks like John probably came to the realization that working as much as he did took away a lot from his relationship, as we all kind of do that along the way. He was married a second time in 2007, and he ended it in 2014. The marriage was toxic and had led him to the path that he is on now. He has completed the writing of his first book, and it has been submitted to a publisher with a planned release in March 2018. He is a member of Toastmasters, as many of you are, Toastmasters International, belonging to the Camarillo Evening Toastmasters Club. We'll have to ask him about that. John has achieved the Competent Communicator and Competent Leader designations and is working in Advanced Manual Series now. Wow. So it sounds like he really worked his way up in Toastmasters, and I'm sure he will definitely tell us about it. John plans to use his public speaking skills to speak to groups of any size and provide them the benefits of his experiences. John truly believes that for him, gratitude is the biggest part of his foundation. It absolutely changed his life. He has a personal Facebook page, and it's titled 7 Ways in 7 Days. He tries to post something positive or of value each day, and he would love for people to go and like that page and share your feedback. John is also participating on a local radio show, The Kim Pagano Show, The Brighter Side of Life. It is an avenue that is rewarding and comfortable to him. I can't imagine why. Anybody involved in radio and just being on live and on the air so people can listen is really rewarding. So I'm sure that John has gotten a lot out of that experience. John says, "My life is so different from just 5 years ago, mostly for the better." Feel free to take any picture that he posts from 7 Ways page. You will find a great selection. And this is his favorite quote. Your day will go the way the corners of your mouth turn. So I'm sure you all are anxious to meet John, as well as I am to have a nice conversation with him. Hello, John. So glad that you are here.
Good morning.
Yeah, you look so comfy.
Purple. It's a nice day, just like what you said. It's 72 degrees here, so yeah, it's hard
And
to not be comfortable.
what part of California are you in, John?
Right now, I'm in Bakersfield, which is Central Valley.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. So we're going to go to the dark point first, and then we're going to go to the light, just like you said. So tell us, what brought you to this darkest point?
I'll tell you, and one thing I want to point out, you said I was an introvert. I'm an extrovert.
Oh,
It's 99% extrovert.
extroverted. Yes. And as I was reading that, I thought, how could he be an introvert and do all these things? So thank you for clarifying it. My bad.
Dark point made me an introvert, and that's what's bad.
Ah, got it.
In 2014, I essentially unofficially ended a marriage. And when I came back to California, this was up in Alaska, when I came back to California, I didn't know what to do. It was like everything was gone. I couldn't cope with the loss, for one, and in my brain, I had been told for a long time that I wasn't worthy, and I wasn't doing enough, and I wasn't this, and I wasn't that. And so the wasn't became the was. And so that's what I believed. I took all that in, and it's like, you're right, I am worthless. And I learned a hard lesson about narcissism. Now, I've read about it, and it's always easy to see things after, but there's the 4 stages were all there: the love, the devaluing, the discarding, and then the healing, the recovery from it. And that's still an ongoing process. There's no doubt. And I struggle with that a lot of days, where I have to say, no, what was told to me is not what is.
Right.
And so in January of 2015, I just reached that, you could call it rock bottom, dark place, whatever. And I just felt empty in all regards. And I was empty spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally, everything. Zero. And I would just lay in bed for days. And, I used alcohol to try to numb it. It doesn't work.
Right.
But I just isolated. I became the introvert that I am not. And it compounded. And I finally said, my brain is a bad source for me. What do I do? I have to turn this around, because my brain is not helping me right now.
Right.
And it just kept telling me every day. I'd wake up and go, yep, I have nothing to offer. I've got nothing. I don't feel like talking to people. I don't feel like going out. I don't feel like doing anything. I am zero in every area of my life, and I have nothing to offer. And it was very dark. I do clarify, it was never a suicidal dark, because there is another level of darkness, but for me, it's just non-existent. That's how I felt. Non-existent.
So amazing, to me, because we know better when we're not in the situation. We know that letting other people get us to that point is just all bull. But when it happens to us and we're in it, for some reason, we forget all of that. And we believe what the other person says about us. And narcissism is, wow. I mean, I've known some in my life, and it is a difficult relationship.
It is. It's, and I will own, as far as like the marriage goes, it was never all that person's fault. It was never all my fault. I had my part in it, obviously.
Right.
It's just funny how certain things contribute to certain behaviors. And ultimately, we have to decide for ourselves, what are we going to absorb? What are we going to believe? And in a relationship like that, it's, if it's a coworker, it's one thing, but in a relationship where there's two people, you tend to start to believe and put more value on something they're telling you because that's your partner.
Right.
Outside walking around says your hair looks funny. I don't care if your wife or spouse, whatever, says your hair looks funny. It's like, oh my God, my hair looks funny.
Yeah.
That's more valuable feedback. So, yeah, but ultimately I had to decide I can't take this anymore. And I recognized the fact that I couldn't. And I recognized the fact that it could end really bad for me if I didn't get out.
Yeah.
If I did.
Yeah. So how did you decide to change? Because I'm sure that you went through all of this in your mind as you're laying there thinking, gosh, life is kind of worthless and I might as well just put the covers over my head and forget about it, not deal with it, because that's what we tend to do as human beings. We don't want to deal with bad things. We just want to keep covering them up. So how did you decide to change your thinking?
I remember it was, I believe, January 23rd of 2015. I was laying in bed. It was a Sunday, I believe. So the date, it was a Sunday. And I said to myself, how do I shut this part of my brain that's telling me these awful things?
Right.
What do I do? And I knew the only way I was going to do that was to focus on other people. Because when you're focused on other people,
yeah,
it puts that to the side for a moment and you're, okay, how am I going to help this person? How am I going to affect this person? And I said, tomorrow's a Monday. It's a new week. What can I do to start my day a different way? And I said, I don't know what it is, but before I go to bed, I'm going to have that thought in my mind. And when I wake up, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so when I woke up the next morning, I found myself thinking, I'm kind of grateful that I woke up. That's always a good first.
Yes.
And then I started looking around. It's like, wow, I have a lot more than most people. And I started just finding gratitude in little things. And so that became my theme for what became the 7 days. The first day was gratitude. And I didn't focus so much on the obvious, like I'm grateful there's a roof over my head. I'm grateful there's food in the refrigerator. Those I am grateful for. But it was, I'm grateful that I'm not the guy who got pulled over on the freeway by the highway patrol. Right. I'm grateful that my tire is not the one that blew up and I'm sitting on the side of the road. I'm grateful I had a safe trip to work. I'm grateful for my coworkers. I'm grateful people are shopping to pay my salary. And it was just little things like that, and even to the point of selfishly sometimes, I'm grateful that I'm not that person suffering this. Not to be mean, but it's just like, that I'm thankful that it's not me.
Right.
And so when I got home that day, I noticed an immediate change, and it wasn't a dreary thing. It was more like, wow, that was good. Yeah. And I thought to myself, my first thought was maybe I should just do this every day. And I have incorporated a gratitude list, and I think a little bit of gratitude every day is good. But I said, well, let's see what happens. And the next morning, I woke up. I turned on the TV to news, which I don't watch very often. I just don't. I figure if it's going to affect me, I'll know about it.
Right.
And there was a story of a homeless man on the news who was out collecting bottles and cans, and he would turn in and get the money. And the first thing he would do is buy food for his dog. And before he would take care of himself, he would make sure the dog was taken care of. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's really sacrifice. And I don't know if I could do that. The dog may have to wait. I'm hungry.
Right.
And it occurred to me that when I went to work every day, there is a gentleman that was out there with a sign and a bucket. And I tended to dismiss him thinking that this is a scam. He's probably got a nice house and a car, and it's just an annoyance. And I said, I've got it now. I'm going to go in today and I'm just going to throw money in the can and I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to assume he needs it and he's telling the truth. And when I did that, it set into motion. My second day's theme was empathy. And a lot of people confuse sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is, okay, that situation's horrible. I feel bad for you. Empathy is like, oh my God, that was me.
Right.
What would I want to happen?
Right.
And so I just found myself, a lady with a screaming kid. What if that was me? I'm sure she's not comfortable with the kid screaming. And instead of me getting annoyed by the kid screaming, I'm like, wow, go over and wave at the kid, talk to him, something, calm him down. And so the whole day it just became that. And I don't want to call it an out of body experience, but I was like putting myself in their place all day long. And I got home again. I'm feeling good. I have some energy. It was good to be out. And I was like, wow, I wonder what tomorrow's going to be.
Yeah. This is feeling pretty good.
And I wasn't pre-planning any of it. I think that was the best part. It just kind of happened. And so I woke up on Wednesday morning, and for some reason, I remembered a conversation I had with a gentleman named Chuck Wall. Now, Chuck Wall is a retired college professor in Bakersfield. He's probably 80 years old. He's blind, has been his whole life. Wow. And he coined the term random acts of kindness, basically. He is the inventor of that phrase. And he used to tell all his classes, if you will all go out today and do a random act of kindness, it's a ripple effect.
Right.
And one of the things he used to do is his wife would drive him downtown and he would put money in all the parking meters back when they had those. And he said, I don't know what the reaction is going to be. I'm blind. I don't know who's going to like it, who's going to notice it, anything, but it made him feel good. And I thought about that. I'd met him probably 25 years earlier, and I remembered that, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And I knew that I would have opportunities. I went to work. I got there early, and there was a yogurt shop right there, and I went in to get a frozen yogurt. And there's a lady in there getting hers in the cup, and there's a kid, probably 5 or 6, who has his little cup, and he is wreaking havoc on the toppings bar. I mean, stuff is linked. She's trying to get hers. I can see that it's chaos. I go in, I get mine, I throw what toppings I want on, I get up to the front, and I'm paying for mine, and then I look in my wallet, I have a $10 bill, I hand it to the cashier, I said, take care of theirs, I'm out. And I left. I have no idea what happened, but previously I probably would have just gone, oh God, this kid is so annoying, I'm trying to get my yogurt. Nope, I did this, off I went.
Right.
And that was the start of it for the day, and I found there was 2 or 3 little opportunities that presented themselves to where, you could just change, do a little act of kindness. It doesn't take much. A smile, a wave, how are you?
Yeah.
And so that's what ended up happening. And people have asked me, were you planning these? I said, no, that's the random part of it. You don't plan, you can't plan kindness. There's nothing wrong with that, but random is something else. And there was a thing happened that evening. I'm going to talk about that separately because what happened Wednesday night was probably the most profound thing. Thursday, I woke up and I was going to meet a friend of mine. She's 80. At this time, she would have been 83 years old. We would get together for coffee once or twice a month and talk for 2 or 3 hours. It was just that comfortable of a relationship. And Marie is fantastic. And so I knew I was having coffee with her, and I said, we go bantering back and forth. We have similar personalities, and it's fun.
Right.
And I said, I think today I'm going to shut my mouth more. I'm going to listen to what she says, even though I knew a lot of things about her. And we spent about 2.5 hours talking. And she asked me at one point, you're kind of quiet today. I said, I know, I'm letting you talk. I said, I have longer to live than you. And that's the kind of joking thing we have. And tell your story. And I had a whole slew of new things about her. And that listening is so underrated.
Yes,
it's absolutely underrated. And it's ironic that I'm telling you that it's underrated by talking and you have to listen, but it's true.
No, but this is your story. We're in a different situation. So this is your turn.
And I've become a better listener. I'm by no means perfect, but I have become a better listener. And when people figure that out, people are more comfortable and they will open up more to you.
Yes.
So that was a great day. The next day was Friday. And, I have to clarify. I decided, you know what? I made a mistake. January 23rd was the day I said I got to start thinking about this. This project actually started on the 8th of February. That's the day, the Sunday, because the Friday of the week was the day before Valentine's Day. That's how I know this.
Yes.
I knew in a grocery store, I was a grocery store manager, I knew what the day before Valentine's Day is like. It's chaos. It's a bunch of panicked men
Yeah.
trying to figure out how they're going to save their skin,
Yeah.
and wondering why we're out of this, that, and the other, and what do I do now? And it's like, you should have done this 5 days ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It used to get me agitated, and I would get upset, and I would take in all that negative energy, and it would just make me uncomfortable. And I said, no, today has to be about patience and compassion. They put themselves in this situation, but hey, I'm a guy. I understand. Valentine's Day is one of the biggies. You can't really mess this up. And I just did that all day. I calmly explained things. I used some of the empathy back in there and go, okay, if this was me, I would want to be helped in a reasonable manner. And I was just calmly explaining things, and I never had the confrontations. They were just like, yeah, I guess I did make a mistake. I should have done this earlier. And the day went, it was a pleasant day. And I got home. I wasn't all wound up. I was fine. I felt good about it. So the next day, obviously Valentine's Day. So this may be the only day that was close to pre-planned. It had to be love. That's what it had to be, because that's the day. And I had a habit of, when I was the manager, every Valentine's Day I would buy a single red rose and I would have it around and I would give it away to somebody. And every year I always found somebody who needed it. I gave it to a little 4 or 5 year old to give to their mother. I knew there was a customer who'd lost her spouse about 2 months previous. I gave her the flower. And so it always worked out. And so I did it again, and I had it, and I'm just going through the day, and I sent one of the cashiers on a lunch, and I took over the register, and this girl comes through, and she's probably in her 20s, and she wasn't smiling, and I just said, hey, how's your Valentine's Day? And she goes, terrible.
Oh.
Now, people would probably leave it at that, get this done, and get her going on her way. And I said, well, what do you mean terrible? You're probably celebrating tonight, right? And she goes, no. Now, pretty much everyone that's left is now giving up. Okay, we got to get her out of here. I don't want to know anymore. And I said, well, and she looked at me and she said, my boyfriend broke up with me Thursday. And I said, wow. I said, on behalf of men everywhere, that's just rude. You can't do that. And I reached over, I grabbed the rose, I handed it to her. She kind of got misty-eyed. She said, thank you. This made my day. And off she went. That was it. That was enough for me. And so that day was fantastic. And in fact, I really had no Valentine to buy anything for. And it helped me too. So it was kind of, it's like, that's what the day is about. It's not about a $5 Hallmark card. That's what it's about. And so I was okay with it. So we come to Sunday, and I'm considered a Christian. I've been baptized by Ed Gardner up in Alaska at Eagle River, Riverside Community Church, but I didn't attend church. I just was not a regular attendee. If he's watching this, I admit it. But I said, today I'm going to go, because this has been a really interesting week. And so I just got on my phone, Googled churches near me. I found one. It was in Newberry Park, California. And I said, I'm just going to go. And it was a community church. Got up, got dressed, went, parked the car. I'm walking up, and there's this couple out front, and they're greeting everyone. And I come up, and the lady looks at me, and she says, oh, is it your first time here? And I said, yes, it is. And she said, I'm so-and-so, and this is my husband. He's a pilot for Alaska Airlines. Now, why would somebody say that? And I'm thinking, Alaska, okay, all right.
Okay.
I'll
go with it.
What's that?
I'll go with it. Yeah.
Alaska. So I go in, I sit down. They do their worship part of the service, and then the pastor comes in, he delivers his message. His message that day is on the Beatitudes. Beatitudes are basically things that you're doing for others, you're helping. So he goes through this, and the last thing he says before he finishes is, I would ask everyone in this congregation today to go out next week, pick one of the Beatitudes each day for a week, and see how your life changes. I said, oh, you got me. I said, that validated everything. And so I ended up making that day about appreciation. And it's like, wow. But it was validated, and it was unbelievable. And I told him after the service about this, and he goes, well, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And so, I'd been saying, was it worth it to do it? And that was it. Yes, it was definitely worth it to do it. And so that's
So
how the
you did,
weekend did.
so you did 7 days, 7 different ways, but something happened Wednesday. What happened Wednesday?
Random Acts of Kindness Day, and it was probably the most powerful experience of the week. And it was around 8 o'clock, I think, and I was getting ready to leave, and there was a gentleman who had his World War II hat on, and these guys are 88, 90
Yeah.
years old. He's just shuffling with his cart. And at that time of night, I had probably 2 registers open. I went over and I said, "Here, before I go, let me just ring you up." And he had a few little items, and it was about $22. And so I said, "You know what? I have a coupon that will save you some money." And he's like, "Okay." And so I reached in my wallet and I pulled out, and I had a Ralph's grocery store branded Visa card. And I handed it to him and I said, "Slide it through this thing and we'll see what kind of discount you get." He slides it through, the receipt pops out. I go, "Here you go." And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, the coupon took care of your whole order." And he's like, "Really? Why would you do that?" And I looked at him and I said, "Because if it weren't for people like you that did what you did, I wouldn't be standing here with a job in this country. And I just wanted to say thank you." Well, he got the misty eyes. He looked at me and he said, "Thank you very much." He shuffled out with his bag, and I never saw him again. But I knew it was like Brooke Jones. You had her on. She would I told her that, that's the essence of Random Acts of Kindness. It was unbelievable. That was the most emotional thing for me. And it was tremendous.
Well, because, when you start doing random acts of kindness or you start putting gratitude first, your heart opens up and you don't even expect it half the time. It just happens. And then all of these things sort of synchronize in your day that reminds you of that or Alaska or this or that. And none of it is by accident. None of it is.
I found that if I wake up, there's a lot of times I won't even get out of bed until I feel I'm in the right frame of mind, because I was having times where I would wake up and the first thing in your head is what's not going to happen today, or what's awful that I have to do, or what negative thing do I have to deal with. I can't start like that. If I could start thinking about things that I'm grateful for, or I put me in a better mood, then yeah, the problems don't go away. A lot of people, oh, if you're grateful, do your problems go away? No, but it's not the focus of everything, and your day can start out in a positive way. That's the thing.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I want to thank Kara Jackson because she's watching us on our interview right now. So thank you, Kara, for watching us. And I hope that you will find John's story fits a piece of your story, because you've already fit a piece of mine. And that's how it always is that everyone's story is unique to them, but we all have a little piece of it somewhere. And that's what makes us, that's what connects us. So it's really interesting about Random Acts of Kindness, because I can tell you, I lived in Colorado, and of course, I'd known Brooke for a very long time and been involved with Random Acts of Kindness. I had a group that I put together called Pay It Forward. And so we used to go out and do different things in the community to pay it forward. And Pay It Forward is an interesting, it's an interesting way of doing something for someone, not expecting them to give you anything back, just hoping that they're going to do something for someone else, right? Because they were treated so kindly. So
Absolutely.
when you do those kinds of things, man, your heart just opens up. There's no other way it can't.
And Brooke is an amazing person. I'm a racktivist.
Yes.
And I think that's, people think you have to change 1,000 people at once. You don't. If you can change one person and kind of tilt it, they will hopefully pass it along. You
Right.
betcha. Pay it forward.
Exactly. Now we've got Blanca Mangas says, "Hi, John."
Hi, Blanca.
And Jackie Glenn said, "Great message, John." So,
Jackie.
wow, we've got all kinds of people thumbing up and everything else. So that's really nice to know that you have such great support and love about what you're talking about, because, as we know, sometimes it's very difficult to talk about our story And lots of times, like we've talked about, John, people think they don't even have a story, which we know is not true. So, it's great to have the support of your friends to listen, and hopefully they can get something out of it as
Shout
well.
out to not having a story.
What?
She's going to be on in a couple weeks with you, and you'll.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I know. I love it, the way that people find me and they are ready to share that most integral part of themselves. And it's, it's so courageous and it's so awesome that I have the platform to make it happen. And I'm just very grateful for that. Very, very grateful. I'm very grateful to have you on today and have you share your story because um, it's very interesting how, I mean, you could have dug yourself a hole in that bed and just stayed there. You could have not been with us today because, as we know, darkness becomes darker for some people.
Mhm.
So, what did your new outlook and mindset enable you to endure?
Well, I call it, is it the three great losses? After I had completed this and I didn't continue on with it. I said, I thought about that, keep going on different things every day. And I said, no, I just got to let this rest. Well, in March of 2015, I had spoken to my best friend. He was up in Alaska at 4 in the afternoon. At 9 o'clock that evening, he had a brain aneurysm, gone, died. And I probably hadn't spoken to him in a couple of weeks, and something just said, I'm going to see what he's doing. And it was just, he was in Alaska, I'm in California, and I don't know what to do. And I was just numb. I mean, I couldn't believe it. His wife called me and said, this is bad. And over the course of the next couple weeks, I mean, they had to have a funeral. I couldn't get the time to go up there. I just said, there's going to be a lot of people there and she's going to need support, but they're all around. And I think I'll wait until those people eventually have to get on with their lives. And now that person is sitting there going, where is everybody? That's when they really need somebody around. I said, I'm going to wait. So she had asked me to write his obituary, help write it because it was just too much. They had no children. They'd been married for 14 years, I believe. And they were just like connected. I mean, they were unbelievable. And so I made a time in April to go up. Got a room, I flew up there. I said, well, when I get in, I'm just going to get a hotel room the first night and then we'll figure out what to do. And I basically just offered myself as she wanted me to be. Do you want to punch somebody? Punch me. Do you want to cry all day? I'll sit there and cry with you. Do you want to hike? We'll hike. Whatever you want to do, I'm here. And so I did that. And, we got some stuff cleaned up that she wanted to sell. We did some downtime. We did some hiking. We did some going out to restaurants. And, she asked me if there's anything of his I wanted. And I ended up taking a T-shirt that I had given him as a gift. And I just said, okay. And it was very, I don't know if it was closure, but it helped her and it helped me because we were both able to be open about whatever. And I think I know she appreciated it. And then they did a memorial for him and I helped write the letter for that. And it was it was almost like a goodbye to him, but I know he's fine.
Yeah.
It was just wow. And so, March was bad. April was good. Then May, I had my divorce finalized. That's a loss. I mean, I wasn't thrilled about it.
Yep.
And I had my final contact with her because I was here. The divorce was in Alaska and I did my part over the phone. And, I heard things on the phone. It was like a last ditch effort to make sure I felt bad. And I didn't fall for it. I didn't take the bait. I was like, it was a blessing for me to be down here because if I would have been in the courtroom, I might have said something. I might have, and it was not my place. I said, I'm not saying a word. If the judge asks me something, I'll speak, but I'm not commenting or anything.
Right.
And, but it was still a loss. So once that happened, there's that, okay. And then about 2 months after that, I got a text message from my best friend's wife, who I was friends with her before him. And, they were like one person to me with two heads.
Right.
And somebody or some people had said some things to her, and she had to sent me a very, I call it a hurtful text, that she didn't want to speak to me anymore, and that he they were mad at me, and he had been upset with me, and I had said some awful things about him. And I'm sitting here. I'd never said anything awful about him unless he was sitting next to me and he would say something awful back to me.
Right.
But I had to recognize that, the stages of grief, if she was in the anger stage, then who are you going to lash out at?
People close.
She's feeling bad there, and I still am. So I'm mad at you, or I'm mad at him for not being here anymore, and I feel guilty for being mad. And I haven't spoken to her since. I sent her a reply to the text message and just said, I loved him and I love you, and I know what you're saying is, you know it and I know it's not true, whatever somebody's told you. And I left it alone because it's what I learned. I said, this is my part of it. I'm not in charge of how you feel. I can't change you. And so I lost both of them. So that's I call it the three big losses. It was, in the space of 4 months, it was rough. And I don't think I would have made it through it if I hadn't done that week and gotten my head on straight.
So true. It's so funny, how life works in that respect too. Is like you had done all of this to sort of get your life back on track. And then some loss came, but you were able to deal with it in a different way that you might not have been before because of what you did do in those 7 days, which is a blessing, really. And sometimes
I had to look at I had to look at the fact that I was able to go up and help her for those few days, and that's what I have to remember.
Yes.
That was the good part of it.
Yes. Yes.
I miss her all the time. I think about him quite often because we shared music, and so I'll hear a song or I'll pick up some CD that he got me, and it's like, boom. But it was always good times with him. So that's what I look at.
Well, and we can always, every day send the people that we love and light, and hope someday that they might change their mind or look at things in a different way and come back. And if they're meant to come back, they will, they always will. And that's the beauty of that. As long as you're giving love, none of it really matters, it just, something good always comes out of love. It just does.
Yeah, I saw one the other day. It was funny, and it said, if you love someone, set them free.
Yes.
If they come back, that means somebody else set them free. Don't pick them up.
Yeah.
You just have to let it go.
That is a good one. That's really good. So tell me how your experience has affected others.
Well, it was funny because after I'd finished the week, I would be at work and I would get into conversations with people that I didn't initiate, that came back to what I was doing, or they would say, you seem like you're in a good mood. What's going on? Or and we've noticed a change, or you seem more outgoing, which is hard for me to believe, but
right.
I would get in these conversations, and I ended up having people, after I talked to them, they would come back and say, I'm trying it. I'm going to do something. Yeah. I had my mom, she's Catholic. She was going to do something every day during Lent. I'm just going to do something. I had somebody say they were going to do something, 7 things, but for a week for each thing. So 7 weeks of this. And other people just told me things like that. It makes total sense. And one of the things that I'm very cognizant of and try to do is I try not to tell people what they have to do.
Right. Because
I know how that works, and that people will tell you, you have to do this and this to get this. And that's not always true. Right. Or you can't do this if you want this. This isn't about what you have to do. This is about take something from it and see if it works. It doesn't have to be the same 7. There's plenty of things. You could just say, I'm going to smile at 2 people every day. And that's a change. That's a change. So take something from it and make it your own kind of thing. And, a lot of people can't do something different every day. But if they could even one day do something different, you've changed somebody, even if it's just for a day. And I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what you wrote your book about, right?
Yep, I'm going to add even a little more to it. It's so funny because things are happening that pertain to it. And the book for me, are you familiar with the Daily Bread?
Yes.
My parents, they read it every day, and I pick it up. I have a copy, and I don't pick it up every day. But when I do, it's funny how whatever is in there that day
You need to
fits
hear.
with. That's what I see this book being. I don't. It's not going to be a big book. It's going to be something similar, 4 by 6. It's on a nightstand in a glove box
Right.
somewhere, and I just hope that somebody could pick it up, and go, "Wow, this, maybe that would help me."
Yeah.
And it's not going to be that you have to follow these steps and start on Monday and end on Sunday. No, no, no. Just pick it up, and sometimes people forget. I need to be grateful.
Right.
And maybe they read the little gratitude section, and that's what the book is for. I don't need people to tell me, "Oh, this book changed my life." I think people don't need to profess that all the time. It's just
Right.
if it helps, I don't need to know. I just
Right.
trust that it will.
Right. Right.
And that's the focus. That's what I want that book to be.
It's really funny because, we all, I mean, on my Facebook page, that's what I do. I post every day. I post positive messages, and it's so funny because people go, "Oh, you're always posting those positive messages. I want to share them. Where do you find them?" And you know what? It's the weirdest thing. I will open up my page, I will open up things, and there they are. And they're what I need to hear that day. Every single time. And I post them. And you think, "Oh my goodness, if it helps someone else, then what a bonus, right? Because it helped me today, and if it can help someone else, then that is even better, right?"
And that's the thing. I mean, I know some people want accolades and this, that, and the other. And it's not about that.
No.
It's just, I send out things. I'll tell you what I do. This is how I work my day. And this is what usually helps me get in a good frame of mind. There are probably 100 people every morning that I send something to on Messenger, by text, whatever it is.
Right.
A lot of people get the same thing. They're not in a group. I do it individually. It takes longer, but I don't want to drag anybody into a group post or group message. But I send them out, and some are specific to certain people for what they're going through.
Right.
And it takes about a half an hour to do all of this. And I put some on Instagram. I'll put some on my page. I'll put something, and I send all these out. And by the time I've done that, probably 10 or 15 people have responded back like "thank you" or "thumbs up" or a
Right.
heart, whatever it may be. And it's like, okay, that's what I need. I don't need, "Oh, John, thank you so much for
Yeah.
that." I'm fine with it. If you want to tell me that, that's great. But, those little acknowledgments, and now I'm ready to go. I'm feeling good. And it's one of the things that I have a hard time dealing with is to do as I say, not as I do. And I'm guilty of that myself. People think, "Oh, you're the most positive person I've ever known." Well, I'm trying to be, but my life isn't all roses. There's plenty of thorns, believe me,
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah.
Just that they're not the first thing I see on the flower anymore. It used to be, "Oh, look at that thorny rose." Now it's, "Look at this cool flower, and oh, there's some thorns down there. I better be careful where I grab it." And so that makes me feel good. And I love sending it out. I love, getting into conversations with people. And what you're doing is my favorite thing almost. I like to sit down and hear somebody's story. I love it. I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
so fantastic. I'm so happy that you enjoy it, because that's why I do it, because I enjoy it too. And I very, very much appreciate the connection with another human and hearing your
Absolutely.
story. Because, we're in a technology world, and we don't really even have to see each other if we didn't want to. We could just email and text and not see each other for days. And to me, that's a shame, because we have so much to offer each other. Like everything you've been talking about today is going to touch someone else. I know that. And it's just amazing how it's just so easy to just have this platform to talk on and share your unique story, because there are many things about it that are just pertinent to you. And it's funny because there's that saying about, you don't know unless you walked a mile in someone's shoes. And that's really true in some instances about people's journey. how you handled what happened to you worked for you. And you did it famously, and it ended up to be so great for you in the end now, but maybe somebody else would handle it differently. So it's just, that's the beauty of our story, is that we have a certain way that we do things and other people might do it different, and that's okay. That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. Yeah,
Absolutely.
fantastic. Well,
And
Kara Jackson is very participating in this whole interview, and she loves the Daily Breads, and she said that she read those also and leave them places for others I visit. And she's, oh, I appreciate your platform, Kathy. Thank you very much, Kara Jackson. I appreciate you coming on and supporting John today. So that's really awesome.
See, I actually have this vision of printing this book, and probably more will be given away than sold. I mean, and that's exactly. You go to Starbucks, you have a cup of coffee, and you accidentally leave it. And
and that's right. I used to do that with Pay It Forward bracelets. I used to take them with me, and I used to just leave them on the table when I left. And I know another woman that I just interviewed not very long ago. Her name is Kay Peters, and Kay wrote a book, and she has given away her first book on Amazon, so people can get an ebook and read it. So, there's many ways to give back. And then she's writing another book, and she said, and this one I will sell, but the first one I just wanted to give away. So I think that's great. I think however you want to do it is perfect. So tell us the 3-goal, 5-year story.
This is, I'll make this. It was funny because in 2010, when I was still married, she had told me that we needed to have some goals. That, we need to have some personal goals. She was big on goals, and I wasn't. That just wasn't my forte. And so I said, okay, I want to lower my golf handicap. And she said, that's not a goal. That's not what I'm talking about. And in reality, it is a goal, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Her goals at the time were to inspire other people, speak to large groups, and write a book. And I'm like, you go, I'll support you. Go out, I'll support you, and you do it.
Right.
And 5 years later, in 2015, I'm sitting there laughing, thinking, okay, I'm getting out these messages. People say, oh, this inspired me. And I said, okay, I'm involved in Toastmasters, and I've spoken to a few large groups and small groups. So I'm doing that. And I started this book. And 5 years previous, those 3 things weren't on my radar, and I could care less about them.
Right.
And here I am doing them.
Right. Isn't that funny? The way the tables turned.
But here again, it tells you that sometimes when you're not looking for something, it finds you.
Yeah, that's right.
It was just funny. I just sat there one day and I'm thinking, God, I remember that conversation.
Right. And, it's like, I think today I posted, or I have the post and I haven't posted it yet, about how everyone that we come into contact with, good or bad, are some of our best teachers.
Absolutely.
And it's so true, it's so true. It's just so true to realize that and make those, make those definite arrangements for ourselves to be able to handle it and move on.
So dismiss any.
Right.
I don't dismiss anything. I figure if I have contact with them, it doesn't mean I have to continue to. Right. But maybe I just need, it's a one-time shot, but you never know. And I will tell you, there was, because we're having a conversation and people wonder how important conversations are. There was I went somewhere and I had a conversation with someone, and just a normal back and forth kind of thing, nothing, no red flags. And I found out later that this person said that the conversation we had saved their life.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what I said. I don't know what state of mind they were in. And I remember when I heard that, I was telling somebody, oh my gosh, who was it? What did I say? And they're like, you're not supposed to know, because whatever you said to them was specifically for them, and you did your job.
Right.
And that's a conversation. Is that important? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? I mean, that is true. Is that you did your job, And again, there's so many times we are good and kind and do something for somebody, and we have no idea ever in life what it did for them that day, and it doesn't matter because we did our job. We did what we were supposed to do. Yeah. So how's your life 2.5 years later now?
Like I said, there's still thorns. I still have things I'm, but I started doing things because in that previous marriage, a lot of what happens is you lose yourself. And I stopped doing things that I like to do
Right.
because the other person didn't like it. Golf, watching football on Sunday, all this. And I don't binge watch football, but I know I can if I want. If I want to go
Yeah.
play golf with my spouse, I can. If I started hiking, and there's a little group of people that I hike with called the A Team. Blanca, who she's one of them, and we're called the A Team, and I'll tell you why. If you look at a capital A, you have the two legs and a middle.
Right.
Virginia and I are fairly tall, so we're the slashes. Blanca's short, so she's the dash, and so we're the. And we go out hiking. I post pictures of that, and that's a fantastic way to just get out. And I just find that I'm finding more good things around me, and I've also been able to be there for friends of mine without taking it on because that can happen. You can, all of a sudden the whole thing's on my shoulders, and I'm like, wait a minute. But I'm able to effectively and constructively help people without taking it all on myself, and so it's made me a much better person. But yeah, I'm far from out of the woods. I got a lot of things I still have to. There's wreckage from that financially. There's wreckage, and I'm still working on it.
Right.
It's like,
But guess what? We're all in it together because we all have the same. Just when you feel like you climbed out of the hole, there's more stuff to deal with. And I look at all those things now as really just an amazing learning experience for me and what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to keep doing. And so it's never, our lives are never going to be perfect. But
no.
as long as we're doing the best we can, that's what really matters. I mean,
And it's true. It's true. And I catch myself really quickly now if I'm starting to judge too much. It's very easy to do nowadays.
oh yeah,
And you see it on TV. Everybody, if you voted for this person, you have to be like, you're probably a complete idiot. And if you did this, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's so snap judgments
right.
anymore. And I catch myself and I can't do this because I don't know. And it's the old, what's the saying? Everybody that you meet is going through something that you know nothing about.
Oh, exactly.
How do I can't decide for them what it is they're going through. It's not my job.
Who's helped you continue your journey, John?
Do we have a second hour?
This is where you wave and say thank you. Thank you. I want to thank. This is your Grammy Award right here.
Yeah. If I forget to name you, it's not.
Yes.
Trust me. There's some that come to mind right away, and these are people that are going through things that are much more difficult than what I went through. But the funny thing is, and I put up a little clip on the page the other day about adversity, and typically when someone's going through something, that is the most drastic thing, period, because it's happening to them or to me.
Right.
But I have Julie, and she deals with MS. Dana Davis, she deals with MS and diabetes, and she's out there trying to make a difference. And these people inspire me. Julie, she goes through some awful times, and I'll call her, and the first thing she asks is, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Who cares how I am? How are you?" Jackie, who was on there, Blanca, Virginia, my parents, my brother, family members, April, Darlene. I have this group of people, Paula and George, that are just they kind of insulate me. And I've had issues with them where I've let them down, and they had to say, "Okay, you need to go do what you need to do. We still love you. I need to learn that too. It's like, I can't take more of this. You need to
Right.
do something." I know I'd forget people, but it's just like, and I keep attracting people to me. Stephanie is a friend of mine. She's going through some stuff, and I try to communicate and we try to talk, and I just try to keep encouraging. And it's awful what some people have to go through, and that's all I can do is encourage and say, look, it's you can overcome this. You can. And but Julie in particular, she has dealt with more things, and I just am amazed by her. Whenever I see her post, she's always an upbeat. She's positive. I know she's hurting, but she's not letting that dictate her life. She takes her time to process things, but when you converse with her or see it's always positive. And that's what you have to do. I mean, sometimes you do I call it faith it until you make it.
Yeah, that's right.
Faith it until you make it. And, and she is the pinnacle example for me. And she's going to get on me for saying this, but she is the pinnacle because I know myself, I don't think I could have gotten through what she's gotten through and still remained positive. And so she's my reminder. She's my big reminder.
That's very nice. And it's funny, like she probably looks at you and says things like, I don't know if I could have gone through what he did. I mean, because we all are dealt something. And I think it's to find out if we can deal with it and how we deal with it for our own inner beings. So, it's just incredible how we kind of all come together with those kinds of people that are willing to do the work. It's really about doing the work. And, I post every morning about the 4 agreements. I've been living by those for the past year. And they have really changed my life. To be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Those things that you put in every day and hear really help you to get through things. They always, always do. And I think that when people are able to look at your journey and then they look at theirs and we intersect, we just do. We intersect in the different things that we do, how someone else did something, how you did something. We are always helping each other underliningly, and we don't even know it, It's just a great thing.
It is. And it's funny how, I don't know, it's just, you get this ability to take things in and turn them around. And that's why the people I really look up to are the ones that are going through something, but their focus is to try to this is what I'm dealing with, but I'm going to help other people maybe not have to deal with it. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Well, and it sounds like you've met some great people since your 7 Ways experience. Again, if you want to know about the 7 Ways in 7 Days, you do have a fan page with that on there. And it looks like you need some people going in there and having a look because it is very uplifting. And I will post it on the information that I put on my website about you, your contact information. So if people want to get a hold of you, John, how can they do that? What is the very best way?
I have a personal Facebook page, and
okay.
You can message me. I respond to messages. You can put a message or a comment on the 7 Ways page.
Perfect.
And I love to hear people reach out. I like feedback, good or bad. Toastmasters has taught me that.
Right.
I want constructive feedback. That's what I want. And if something annoys you or something, it's like, why don't you talk about this? I want to know. How are we going to do anything if we don't know?
That's right. That's right. Kara, who is such a participant here, wow. She says, John, thank you. I'm feeling encouraged by your message. This is uplifting and inspiring.
There you go. And that's it. That's the victory right there. One person. That is the victory. And I thank you for letting me, do this. And I get something out of each interview you do. And some are more powerful to me than others, but everyone will have something. It's like your guest the other day. I don't know what it's like to be a Mooney.
Right.
But I look at it and go, okay, she saw the situation, she got out of it, and she's made amazing turnaround with her life. And she might not have done that if she didn't have that bad experience.
Right. Right. And I think sometimes if we can just look at our bad experiences sometime and think, okay, that was really a bummer, but look what I learned from it, and look how I'm still standing. I can still get up in the morning, and I can still make it through. And so if I can do that, then I can show other people how that's done. And so they will know as well that nobody's alone. No one is alone. No.
No, and I know we're almost done here, but I have to. There's one special shout out. This is a Stacy is my friend. She'll know this, but she's the one who taught me. And this was a hard one because when that marriage ended, one of the things that I kind of dismissed was love. This is again, okay, love is a bunch of baloney,
Right.
Because you this person, and she showed me that no, you are worthy of being loved, and you have to feel that way to accept the love. And so this spork that she gave me is, I was telling you about it earlier. It's funny. It's like you have this individual ends that are completely different, but when they're connected, they work, and both sides work, and they're effective. And that's what it is. And I've been able to learn how to express love at all levels, friends, family, and it feels good. And she taught me that, so I do want to give a special thank you to her.
Well, I tell you, I really, really enjoyed our interview, John. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed, because what I find with every one of my guests, we always stay in contact, and because I definitely want you to come back and talk about what's been happening with you. This is an open platform, and you can schedule a time anytime you want in the coming year. So come on and tell us what you're doing, down the road. And please come on and tell us about your book some more. I can't wait till it comes out. I think that's very exciting to know about that. 7 Ways in 7 Days. And this is how John has absolutely gotten out of the darkness and into the light. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you so much for being in the audience and watching, and all your supporters were here supporting you, and many will come on and watch later if they didn't make it today. So thank you again, John, and thank you all for sharing in What's Your Story. You can see this on the pig, the bacon. I love it. You can see this interview on YouTube, What's Your Story? And please subscribe, because all my interviews are there. www.kathybacon.com. You will find it there. You will find it on the Facebook page. And please go to John's 7 Ways in 7 Days and like his page and get involved in what he's doing. And maybe you need to get out of the darkness and into the light. So thank you, John.
Thank you.
Very, very wonderful to meet you. And thank you all. I'll see you next week on What